my name is Dr. Maurice Pitesky, and welcome back to the Sitch. This is episode number 23 of the Sitch, a show from the UC Davis School of Veterinary Medicine Cooperative Extension. This month, we're going to talk about the timely topic of molting. FYI, that was the Sitch's first molting pun. So to understand the point of molting, let's start at what it takes to lay an egg. First of all, if you are a chicken and you want to get into the egg laying business, you need a few things. You need a catchy farm name. So I'm a nerd, I'm a chicken nerd. So my farm name would be called Albert Eggstein's Egg Emporium. Other things you'll need, each of your laying hens will need a 1099 or W-2 form from the IRS, depending on what type of employee they are, of course. So biologically speaking, your hens will need to be sexually mature females to lay eggs, and they'll also need light. So with respect to light, that typically means they need around 14 to 16 hours of light at approximately 50 lumens of intensity, which is about the minimum amount of light you need to read the newspaper. In the conventional commercial world, this is pretty easy to do as most hens are raised indoors where they can control the amount of light and the light intensity. However, for backyard birds, which are typically raised outdoors, seasonality matters as there is less daylight in the winter. In addition, latitude, or how far north or south you live from the equator, also matters, as the latitude you live at affects how much light your birds receive. So, for example, if you live in the Northern Hemisphere, December 21st is the shortest day of the year, but the shortness of the day depends on your latitude. So, for example, if you live in Seattle on December 21st, your backyard poultry would receive about 8 hours and 25 minutes of light. Versus if you lived in Los Angeles, your backyard poultry on December 21st would receive 9 hours and 53 minutes of light on that same exact day. Because of this phenomena and the genetics of different backyard birds, because there's a lot of different backyard bird species out there, breeds out there, during the winter, some chickens molt and others keep on laying. If you observe during this time period a huge drop-off in the number of eggs from backyard poultry, your backyard poultry are producing, and you see feather loss, your hens are likely molting, which is just part of the natural cycle where birds lose their feathers and gradually regrow their feathers over 8 to 16 weeks. Reproductively, their egg-making machinery, aka the reproductive tract, takes a needed break and regenerates itself. While there's some variability due to breed and the factors described above, molt usually occurs when the days start to shorten in the late summer, and it can go well into the fall season between 8 and 16 weeks. If you notice molting behavior, such as a decrease or a stop in egg production, or a loss of feathers, typically starting with the head and neck and then down the back, you may want to consider changing your hen's diet to a higher protein, lower calcium diet. The high calcium in a laying diet, which is needed for eggs, can cause nutritional diseases and mortality if fed continually to molting hens, which aren't laying as many eggs or have completely stopped laying eggs. There are commercial rations that are available that provide this type of diet. Typically, they cut the calcium percentage in half from around 4% to 2% and increase the protein percent from around 16 to 20% crude protein. By feeding an appropriate molting diet during molting, you can increase the hen's ability to regrow, regenerate their feathers and reproductive tract, which will decrease the overall time your hens are molting. You can add supplemental light to prevent your birds from molting. That's the topic for a different episode of the Sitch. But whatever you do, don't use heat lamps, as they can cause fire hazards. And this seems to happen every winter, unfortunately. Thanks again for listening. And if there are other topics that you'd like covered on the Sitch, please reach out to me at drcluck@ucdavis.edu. Thanks. Bye.